myself with a little bit of time here that we will be able to go ahead and do a video. And I thought instead of recording it and putting it all together and then posting it, I was like, let's make this one a live one. This is going to be the third in my series called Wordplay, where I take a Prince song or any song. I'm actually thinking about opening it up to other artists soon. But essentially, I take a song and we kind of go line by line and I kind of break down the meanings of the song. One that I've gotten a lot of requests for is for the song June. And I thought that today would be a good day for that because just yesterday, excuse me, just yesterday I contributed to my friend Erica's blog in an article that I wrote called, a case for Hit and Run Phase 1. And I'll put a link in the description so you can definitely go check that out after the live stream is over. But I kind of I laid my case out for why people should give that album another shot. It is actually one of my favorites. I think that they did a really good job with it. But, I guess we'll see what happens. So when it comes to June, June was the last track on Prince's album Hit and Run Phase 1. And the interesting thing about that album in general is it's not one that a lot of people like for some reason, but everybody universally likes June. It's one of those kind of tracks. It just kind of is. So with that in mind, I wanted to kind of break it down and make this a wordplay. We're going to go through the meanings that I have found, and I'm hoping that they're, as correct as can be. I guess we'll see. I have my own thoughts about how it kind of works and the meanings behind stuff. And again, I thought it would be fun to make this a live stream as opposed to just me throwing it up there with no interaction. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts as I go through this on, each of the different, things. So anyway, and like I said, I'll share the link to you to the article I wrote later. So before we get started, don't forget to hit like on this video. I've actually heard that it makes it so that more people get the alert that it's going on. So hit like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and look into possibly becoming a patron or a YouTube member. I know we're all kind of strapped for cash right now, but if you have a couple of extra dollars to spare, it would definitely go a long way to help us out. So I'm just, there you go. I'm just throwing it out there. So let's talk June. The lyrics go, and I have the lyrics right here. And we're going to kind of go down the line. So here is June. Pasta simmers on the stove in June. It makes no sense yet, but it will soon. So here's an interesting thing about pasta and Prince. I don't know if you guys knew this, but there is actually a brand of pasta called Prince. And actually, what was happening is during the Purple Rain era was when Prince was actually kind of butting heads a lot with Prince pasta. Because while he was huge and he was popular, they were running mock Prince concert commercials, kind of using his popularity in order to try and sell more pasta. So the way that I interpret this line is, he is, kind of sitting there. I'm pretty sure pretty sure he likes pasta and he's eating pasta. But he had a lot of legal battles around the Purple Rain times. It's June, so that's the month of his birthday. I feel like this is him kind of getting lost in the memories of the past. And he's using the pasta as kind of that window into not only kind of falling back into the past, but also kind of in the, what is Prince? It's Prince is him, but Prince is also this kind of caricature, this kind of person that he's created. So anyway, I did like that. I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to start it off with pasta. And I think that the pasta was the thing that kind of shot him back into his mind, into his memories. So let's go back here. So now we have conversation starters come way too hard. Nobody wants to be the martyr playing the wrong cards. This line, I think, is kind of about his insecurities. This is like when it comes to meeting people or doing something for the first time. You know, a lot of people peg him as mysterious, but really what he's saying is like, I don't even really know how to connect with a whole lot of people. And I don't want to go out there and say the wrong thing. And then, you know, as the martyr, like I become the sacrificial lamb. I said something stupid. So now everybody else is having their, now the conversation is started, but it's not with me included. It's about me. I am the martyr. I had to die for the conversation to start. So I had to make a fool of myself. Now, kind of going into the next line, he kind of gets into some sample questions that like, yeah, these kind of things, like if you came up to somebody and asked them these would not be good conversation starters. So if you said like, hey, why'd you come to this planet? You know, why did you come to this life? I feel like those two questions, though, are less about connecting with somebody with small talk. Like, because he's like, I don't want to do small talk. I want to ask the big questions. Like, that's not a conversation starter. That's, why did you come to this planet? Why did you come to this life? Like, why is your soul here? Like, these are deep, deep questions, which are not great conversation starters. So, and then obviously the next line after that is, how can you be everybody's dream and still be somebody's wife? And that is also a pretty big one. That's more along the lines of something he would ask like a movie star. You know, I imagine that like that's something that he might have asked like Selma Hayek or something when he was first meeting her. You know, it's you know, how do you be a regular? But it's a universal question though. It's like, how can you be a regular person when everybody is focused on you? Like, their lives are about you. And I think that this is also part of that. Like, he's thinking about what it means to be Prince, right? So if he's thinking about what it means to be Prince, then one of the questions is, yes, he frames it as, how can you be somebody's dream and still be somebody's wife? But I think he might even be asking, he's like, I'm asking for a friend, you know, I'm asking for a friend because I don't know how to do that, because I am this person that is divorced from the conversation. Everybody is talking about me, but I can't be part of the conversation. So anyway, so that's what I'm thinking. That's where I'm thinking it is. So this is just all my conjecture, just me sitting around you know, during the COVID-19 crisis, and I'm quarantined in my house, and I decided to just break this thing down. And I'm hoping everybody, you know, is kind of enjoying it so far. I'm looking here in the comments. Yes, they did get sued. Prince got sued. The Prince pasta. Yep. I love Hit and Run. Yeah, that's a good comment. That pasta is made in my hometown. That's funny, Zuzu Pedals. Yeah, so yeah, everybody seems to I don't see any disagreements, so that's good. So maybe I'm not as far away as I could be. Michelle H. Prince is very, very shy. I agree. We always kind of knew that. All right, so now we kind of go from him saying like, I'm not really feeling like right in life. I don't know how to connect with people. I feel like I'm over here and everybody is over there talking about me. And then we get to the next line, which is, you're off there somewhere being free while I starve in the lonesome cold. I actually do feel like, and a lot of people have said like, this song was about a lost relationship. I feel like this part right here is where he's saying like, it is kind of about a lost love. This is kind of him lamenting about that. And, you know, probably whoever it was, you know, that would talk for him in gatherings. I think that also is kind of part of that. I remember a lot of the stuff like in the 90s, like whenever there would be an interview or whatever, like Maite would get out there and she would kind of talk for him and kind of coax him into talking. So it would make sense that he would obviously look for that in his partners. So, you know, future relationships would likely also have the same kind of dynamic where he would be kind of leaning on them to help him engage and to become a little bit more personable. Because if he's left to his own devices, you know, he gets lost in the memory and starts talking about pasta. So, so I feel like that's where that line is going. But whoever that is out there being free. And this is on the same album that has like This Could Be Us and, you know, X's Face and, you know, these sorts of things. So these are songs about, you know, getting love, losing love, you know, we could be together, but we're not. So if you look at it within that context, like in the end, he is realizing that he is, you know, he's alone. So it's kind of sad. And that's when we get to the next line, which was one that it did actually confuse me for a while. And this was, tell me, what did you have, it's weird to read it, like, tell me, what did you have for lunch today? Like, I could sing it easily, but just like reading the line, I'm bad at reading, apparently. That's right, how would I know? How would I know? I feel it took me a while to figure this line out, and following kind of the train of the thought process that I already have going. I think this is like, what did you have for lunch today? And I feel like the answer had something to do about being a regular person. Like, you know, what did you have for lunch today? Oh, well, you know, I went to Mickey D's and had a, you know, whatever, you know, you wouldn't know anything about that, would you, Prince? Because you have your own chef and you have all the money in the world, and you're not normal. You are separate from us. And you know, and that's why he's like, oh yeah, I mean, how would I know? How would I know? Right? Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because it doesn't. I'm seeing a comment here. I interpret it as him not being part of this woman's life anymore. I don't know if it has to do with a particular relationship. I think this has more to do with his relationship with himself. This whole song has something to do more with his relationship with himself and his relationship with his own emotions. To put it weirdly. Oh gosh, I took a picture that I was going to share with you guys, and I didn't send it to my computer, so I'm sending it now. So yeah, but it could be exactly what Amy Christine here is saying. Knowing what somebody had for lunch reflects daily intimacy, and he no longer has that. The problem with interpretation is that he is also, it's in a conversation. He's saying, what did you have for lunch today? That's right, how would I know? How would I know? Not, I wonder what you had for lunch today because you're not here. It almost makes it feel like it's part of that ongoing conversation that he already feels uncomfortable in. So to me, it more translates into, yeah, I wouldn't know anything about what it's like to be a normal person. So that's my thought on it. That's, you know, we'll see, I guess, you know, history will tell. You know, this is just my interpretation of it. Let me get this this media in brought up. Oh gosh, of course I'm gonna have to convert it. Of course, it's just, you know, technology is an interesting thing, and I'm going to just I'm gonna export this because it's part of the next thing, and I have to share it with you. It's part of this. It's not just for shiggles, all right? It's important, this thing that I'm doing right now. Okay, so let's see. I put it on the desktop. Here it is. All right, so now it's here. So I'm not gonna show it yet, but it's gonna be interesting when you see it because it goes into like some of the next lines. So so that's my thought, right? He's kind of lamenting about that. So then it goes, you're off somewhere being free. I lost my train of thought. Okay, so the next part is, bodies got used to each other. Now we're used to the sound of Richie Havens' voice on the vinyl, spinning round and round. So now that we're to the Richie Havens part, that's Richie Havens. Richie Havens is an artist that Prince actually has mentioned a couple of times. I've seen him in interviews. He mentioned that, you know, Richie Havens was somebody that he looked up to. Richie Havens was also a funk soul performer as well. He is famous for his Woodstock performance, which will come up later on in the song. And Richie Havens died in 2013, which was not long before this album was released. I believe this one was in 2015. So, you know, it's possible that Prince was probably listening to a lot of Richie Havens around the time that he wrote this song, in honor of him, listening to his music after he passed, the same way that a lot of us did that after Prince passed. Prince was doing that for somebody that, you know, that he loved. And somebody that he admired. The next thing, though, was the part that got me. It says, sometimes I feel like I was born way too late. I should have been born on the Woodstock stage. So looking at that, this one was always weird for me, right? Because I would look at his birth year, and I'm like, but you were born in 1958, Prince, and Woodstock was in 1969. So, like, you weren't born too late, you were born too early. Like, come on, that doesn't make any sense. Ha ha ha. Now we get to the picture that I just uploaded here. This is a picture from Prince's memoir, okay? And if you see here, this is a page that was at the beginning of his career. He made a whole picture book about him starting his career with For You. And the first page says, born December 19th, 1979. It was the birth of Prince. It wasn't the birth of him. It was the birth of Prince as this persona, as this mysterious creature, this person that is beyond and without and outside of normalcy, right? So this is, this line makes a lot more sense when you realize that he's talking about the birth of his career, which was in December 1977. That's 8 years after Woodstock. But again, it's coupled, these lines, you shouldn't take them separately. He wishes that he would have been on the Woodstock stage with Richie Havens. He wished that he had been born earlier. He wished that he had been making music to be able to perform beside one of his heroes. That's my thought on it. So there you go. But that's Prince was so good at lyrics. Oh my gosh. It's crazy just to think that this is all just me. Like, I had to research each line and try and figure out how to do this. So the next line is, but I have been here waiting and waiting and waiting. And it's a cold line. It's really kind of cold. Because it's about him just kind of sitting and he's waiting for, like, his next birthday. You know, he's waiting for the next day and the next day, counting the days kind of till his end, because he's kind of lamenting again about Richie Havens having just passed. So he's like, so I'm just here, and I guess I'm just waiting for somebody to honor me in the same way that I'm honoring Richie Havens. You know, it's like it's a sad line. And it makes me like it's already kind of like, it's already a sad line, the way he delivers it and everything, but kind of understanding the context behind, like, that waiting is like, he's not waiting for something fun to happen. Like, he's essentially saying, I'm waiting for my death. I'm waiting for my end. And yeah, it's kind of crazy. And then he says, somebody famous had a birthday today. All I saw was another full moon. So I feel like he's talking about himself. Like, it's his birthday, right? It's June, and he's alone, and he's making pasta, and it's making him think about his past. I checked the calendar, because Google is a wonderful thing, for 2015, and it says the full moon was around June 2nd. So, definitely him talking, he's thinking about his life close to his birthday, not obviously in his birthday. Otherwise, maybe the song would have been called, June 7th. But, it's just June. but it's at the beginning of June. There's a full moon. He's thinking about his past. He's thinking about his future and how he's going to be a year older in a few days, all of that stuff. And then he looks up and he sees a full moon. And a full moon has a lot of different connotations. Prince is always kind of talking about the moon and how beautiful it is, but also just how like majestic it is and how huge. Like it's huge. It also has a lot to do with like affecting people's emotions. So he almost has to like look. He's looking up at the full moon, and he's just like, it makes me feel completely different now to be looking at the full moon when it's my birthday, and now I'm a year older. It's one of those hard things. It's somebody coming to terms kind of with like, I'm old. And then the last part is, what's that? Something burning on the stove. Must be the pasta, must be the pasta. Oh yeah, it's June. And the ending of him is kind of him getting snapped out of his reverie. And he's back to the pasta, and it's burning, that pasta that made him kind of go down this whole diatribe. I love this song because it's so much like, it's like a stream of consciousness kind of song. He just kind of wrote down everything that he thought of. You know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting because I've listened to so many different like interviews and stuff with Prince. I think he saw that his career was going to come to an end. Prince never necessarily saw himself as an old man. Those interviews and stuff that I've heard people close to him and his friends and stuff like that, they've always said like he never saw himself growing old. He never thought that he would be an old man. I feel like this song is just him feeling his age. It's just him going like, I wonder if I am nearing the end. And it turns out that he was, but didn't necessarily mean that I don't think he knew that he was nearing the end. But again, it's like just kind of breaking the song down, I think, and kind of learning a new way to kind of interpret the lyrics and connect it all together with his life and what was going on and his emotions. I feel like he was putting so much of himself in his songs. But that's the thing, right? But that's around the time that he was like, I really want to get my memoir done, and I want to I want to let people know who I am. And I feel like this song really did a very good job at letting us all know, who Prince was, the full moon. And, everybody kind of has, their place in the world. Prince's place was very huge. And I hope that he gets the respect that he deserves. I'm just saying, I do, because like I said, if nothing else, this song, like the lyrics aren't even like complicated. He doesn't use big words. It's like, he's not going crazy with like his lyricism. He's not like, it's not like, like, or it's not like, he's not telling really necessarily a story. He's kind of just sharing his thoughts. Oh man, it's just it's such a good song. So I do hope that you enjoyed this video. It looks like a lot of people in the comments are agreeing kind of with the stuff that I'm saying. Nobody is outright saying like, you're wrong. I see here a couple of people. I see one person here saying he didn't believe in time. That's not true. There was a while when he would do interviews and he would talk about time and how it didn't matter and all of that stuff. And that really kind of started getting phased out of his music. Like the late 2000s, he stopped kind of saying like time is an illusion and all that stuff. He didn't necessarily talk about that anymore. And that's the thing is you can't take one thing that he said in the 90s and say that applied to his whole life. People change, people evolve. This song specifically, I feel, is like, this was him like setting out to evolve, right? This was him trying to understand his own feelings about what it meant at that stage in his life, at that stage in his career, what it meant to be him, what it meant to be Prince, where was his place in the world. And that's what June is. And hopefully you guys enjoyed my interpretation of this. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it being a live stream. If you did, don't forget to hit like. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Don't forget to hit the bell so that you are always alerted when we put out new videos. And also when we put up, when we go live. Otherwise, you won't get alerted. So just saying. But hopefully you guys did enjoy it. I enjoyed it, and I think that I'm mostly right, at least, with the interpretation of June, which is one of those haunting songs that just kind of sticks with you. But otherwise, may you live to see the dawn. I love you all. I'll see you guys in the next one.